Let me tell you something that's just hit me like a proper light bulb moment. I'm sat here this morning with my cup of coffee, and it's hot, by the way, watching my two girls get themselves ready for school. One's 4, the other's 6. And suddenly I've realized something massive. The house feels different. Not chaotic different, not crying different, but peaceful different. Good different. For the first time in what feels like forever, I'm not in constant survival mode. I'm not mentally calculating nap times or wondering if I've got enough nappies in the changing bag. I'm not bracing myself for the next meltdown or scanning the room for potential dangers. I can actually think. I can actually breathe. And that's when it hit me. We've entered what I can only describe as the golden years of parenting. Those magical years between the exhausting toddler phase and the eye-rolling teenage years. It's real, it's happening, and I want to celebrate it with you because if you're still in the trenches with little ones, I promise you this stage is coming. And if you're here with me, isn't it just brilliant? Let me paint you a picture of life before this golden stage because honestly, I think we need to acknowledge just how intense those early years really are. For 4 solid years, I either had a baby or a toddler in this house. 4 years of relentless, never-ending cycles of feeding, changing, soothing, and barely sleeping. Do you remember those days when your entire life revolved around nap schedules? When you'd plan every single outing around whether your little one would sleep in the car or if you'd be home in time for the afternoon nap? I used to feel like a prisoner to those nap times, but then when they didn't happen, the whole day would fall apart. You couldn't win. And the dummy hunts, oh my God, the dummy hunts. I swear I spent half my life crawling around on floors looking for that one specific dummy that was apparently the only one in the world that would do. Under the couch, in the car, dropped somewhere in Woolies. The panic when you couldn't find it at bedtime was real. Then there were the sleepless nights. Not just the newborn phase, that bit everyone warns you about, but the teething, the night terrors, the "Mummy, I need a wee" at 3 a.m., the climbing into your bed with cold feet and sharp elbows. I genuinely can't remember a single night of uninterrupted sleep for about 5 years. You start to feel like a zombie, like you're functioning on autopilot because your brain's too tired to actually think properly. And don't even get me started on toddler tantrums in public. That special kind of mortification when your 2-year-old decides to have a complete meltdown in the middle of Coles because you wouldn't let them eat the bananas straight from the bunch. Everyone's staring, you're trying to stay calm, and inside you're just thinking, please, ground, swallow me up now. Car journeys were another level of stress entirely. The crying that, "Are we there yet?" every 5 minutes, the dropped snacks that somehow always ended up in the most unreachable places. I used to dread any journey longer 10 minutes because I knew it would involve tears, theirs and probably mine. Toilet training, now there's a special kind of torture, isn't it? The accidents, the power struggles, the bribing with chocolate, the washing endless pairs of tiny knickers. And just when you think you've cracked it, they have an accident in the most inconvenient place possible, like your friend's cream carpet. But perhaps the hardest part was the constant need for supervision. You couldn't turn your back for a second without someone climbing something they shouldn't, putting something in their mouth, or getting into some kind of mischief. That hypervigilance is exhausting. Your brain never switches off because you're always on high alert. And then there's being touched out. You know that feeling when you've been climbed on, hung off, and used as a climbing frame all day, and by evening you just want 5 minutes when no one's touching you. But then you feel guilty because these are your babies and you love their cuddles. The guilt was constant, counting down to bedtime while simultaneously loving your children with every fiber of your being. Feeling desperate for them to go to sleep so you could have a moment to yourself, then missing them the second they were asleep. Wanting to fast forward through the difficult bits, but also knowing these were precious years you'd never get back. These were the trenches. And if you're there right now, listening to this while probably bouncing a baby or chasing a toddler, I see you. I remember exactly how that feels. But then something magical happened and I almost missed it because it was so gradual. There wasn't a specific day when everything changed. It was more like slowly emerging from underwater and suddenly realizing you could breathe again. I remember the first morning I woke up naturally, not to crying, not to someone shouting, "Mummy," from their bedroom, not to the sound of little feet paddling across the floor. I actually woke up because my body was ready to wake up. I lay there for a moment thinking something must be wrong because surely someone needed me. But no, they were both still fast asleep. And when they did wake up, they got themselves dressed and came into the kitchen for breakfast. The house started feeling different too, quieter, but not in that eerie way that makes you panic about what they're getting up to. Quieter in a peaceful way. I could hear them playing together in their room, having proper conversations, sorting out their own little disagreements without needing me to referee every 5 minutes. One day I realised I hadn't seen a nappy in months. The changing table had become a bookshelf. The steriliser was gathering dust in the cupboard, and the high chairs had been passed on to friends with younger kids. All these things that had dominated our lives for so long had just quietly disappeared, and I hadn't even noticed the exact moment they became redundant. The dummy fairy had finally visited and taken away the last of those little plastic lifelines. No more 2 a.m. searches under the beds or in car seats. No more panic when we left the house without spares. The girls had just grown out of needing them, and suddenly our lives became so much simpler. I started having hot cups of tea again, proper hot tea that I could drink while it was actually hot, not lukewarm or stone cold because I'd been interrupted 15 times. I could sit down with a cup of tea and actually finish it whilst reading a few pages of a book. When did that become such a luxury? But honestly, those first few uninterrupted cups of tea felt like pure magic. Both the girls could suddenly do so much for themselves. They could get dressed in the morning, matching clothes and everything. They could brush their own teeth, though I still had to check they'd done it properly. They could get their own drinks of water when they were thirsty, use the toilet completely independently, and even help themselves to snacks from the cupboard. The morning routine transformed completely. Instead of me rushing around getting everyone ready whilst they sat there like little emperors waiting to be dressed and fed, they became active participants. They'd get themselves up, get dressed, come into the living room, and even help get breakfast ready. Some mornings, I'd come out to find them already eating their cereal and chatting away to each other. Bedtime became something I actually looked forward to rather than dreaded. No more battles over pajamas or teeth brushing. No more the lengthy negotiations about just one more story or I need another drink of water. They'd have their bath, get in their pajamas, and we'd have lovely cuddles whilst reading stories. Then they'd settle down, actually go to sleep without calling me back into their room 17 times. The car journeys became pleasant. We could have proper conversations, sing along to songs together, or they'd just chat to each other whilst I drove. No more crying, no more "are we there yet?" every 2 minutes. They could even help navigate sometimes, spotting familiar landmarks and getting excited about where we were going. I started saying yes to things again, invitations to birthday parties, days out, spontaneous trips to the park, because I knew we could actually go and enjoy ourselves rather than the whole time managing meltdowns or worrying about nap times or whether I'd packed enough snacks. The constant mental load started lifting. I didn't need to remember where everyone's comfort items were or calculate how long we had before the next feed or nap. I didn't need to pack a bag that could supply a small army just for a quick trip to the shops. My brain had space for other thoughts again. And perhaps most importantly, I started enjoying being their mum again instead of just surviving it. Don't get me wrong, I always loved them fiercely, but those early years were so intense that sometimes the joy got buried under the exhaustion. Now, I could actually appreciate their little personalities, laugh at their jokes, and have proper fun together. That's when I knew we'd made it. We'd climbed out of the trenches and into something absolutely beautiful. This is it. This is the sweet spot that everyone talks about, but you don't quite believe exists until you're living it. Ages 4 to 6 are like this perfect storm of independence and innocence. And honestly, I want to bottle this feeling and keep it forever. What makes this stage so magical is that perfect balance they've struck. They're independent enough to do lots of things for themselves, but they're still young enough to believe in absolute magic. My 6-year-old can make her own sandwich and sometimes tie her shoes, but she still leaves out milk and biscuits for Santa. And Janu believes that I know everything about everything. There's something so pure about that combination. They still believe in magic, proper, real magic. The tooth fairy is absolutely real and leaves the most exciting surprises under their pillows. Santa knows exactly what they want because he's magic, obviously. The Easter Bunny definitely comes to our garden every year. And when they ask me how something works or why something happens, they look at me like I'm the fountain of knowledge. Mummy knows, they'll say with complete confidence. Honestly, I hope they keep thinking that for just a little bit longer. The conversations we have now are just incredible. They're proper conversation that make me laugh out loud, not just me asking questions and getting one-worded answers. My 4-year-old told me yesterday that she thinks clouds are made of marshmallows because they look fluffy. And then we had this whole discussion about what would happen if it rained marshmallows. These aren't conversations you can have with a toddler who's still learning to string words together, or with a teenager who thinks that you're embarrassing. This is the perfect window where their imagination is wild, but their communication skills can keep up. They still want cuddles, but they're not constantly climbing all over you. They'll come and snuggle up next to me on the sofa when we're watching a film, or they'll ask for a cuddle when they're feeling sad or excited. But they can also disappear into their rooms for an hour and just play together, creating these elaborate games with their toys, having full conversations with their dolls, building incredible worlds with their Lego. The independence is there, but so is that lovely connection. Their personalities are properly shining through now, and it's fascinating to watch. Without the frustration of limited communication or the overwhelming emotions of toddlerhood, you can see exactly who they are as people. My 4-year-old is this proper little comedian who notices everything and makes those observations that have me in stitches. My 6-year-old is thoughtful and creative, always making up stories or drawing these amazing pictures with the most intricate details. They're starting to navigate friendships, and watching that unfold is just beautiful. Seeing them learn how to share, how to compromise, how to be kind when someone's upset. They come home with school with stories about who they played with, what games they invented, sometimes little dramas about who said what to whom. They're learning these crucial social skills, but they're still innocent enough that most playground disputes are resolved with a simple sorry and a hug. The pride I feel watching them tackle new experiences is overwhelming in the best way. Seeing my 4-year-old mastering riding her bike, watching my 6-year-old read a whole book for herself, and seeing them both swim across the pool independently for the first time. They're so proud of themselves, and that confidence is just gorgeous to witness. They still think I'm wonderful, which I know won't last forever, so I'm absolutely soaking it up. They introduce me to their friends as my mummy with such pride. They want to show me everything they've made, tell me about everything they've learned, include me in their games. I'm still their favourite person, their safe space, the one they run to when they're excited or hurt or confused. But here's what's really special. They're becoming proper little people with their own opinions and preferences, but they're not yet at that stage where they're trying to separate from you. They want to be like you. They want to help you. They want to spend time with you. My 6-year-old asks if she can help me cook dinner, not because she has to, but because she genuinely wants to be involved. My 4-year-old wants to help hang out the washing because she likes doing grown-up things with mummy. The tantrums have mostly disappeared, replaced by actual communication. When they're upset about something, they can usually tell me what's wrong instead of just melting down. We can have conversations about feelings, about why certain rules exist, about what's fair and what isn't. Don't get me wrong, they still have their moments, but they're still children. But those moments are manageable now, not the overwhelming storms they used to be. They're curious about everything, asking the most wonderful questions that really makes you think, why is the sky blue? How do airplanes stay up? Where do thoughts come from? Why do some people have different coloured skin? These aren't just random questions. They're genuinely trying to understand the world around them, and they trust you to help them make sense of it all. This stage feels like the reward for all those difficult early years, all those sleepless nights, all those tantrums, all that exhaustion. This is what it's building towards. These magical years where they're still your babies, but they're also becoming these incredible little people with their own thoughts and dreams and personalities. And the best part, they still need you, but in the most beautiful way possible. Can we just talk about how different family outings are now? Because honestly, leaving the house used to feel like planning a military operation, and now it's actually fun. Remember when going anywhere meant packing what felt like half of your house? The massive changing bag with nappies, wipes, clothes, snacks, toys, dummies, bottles, and about 17 other things you might possibly need. Then there was wrestling with the pram, making sure you had the rain cover, the sunshade, checking you'd remembered the car seats were properly fitted. Now I grab my handbag, check I've got my keys, and we're off. That's it. No massive bag weighing me down, no pram to navigate through narrow shop aisles or lug upstairs. The girls just walk alongside me, chatting away, pointing things out, actually contributing to where we're going instead of just being transported there like little parcels. Movie trips are an absolute revelation. We can actually go to the movies now and watch proper films together, not just the 10 a.m. showings designed for parents with babies where half the audience is crying and the other half is trying to shush their children. We can go to afternoon showings, evening showings, even, and watch movies that we all generally enjoy. The girls sit through the whole thing, sharing popcorn, getting excited at the good bits, and we all come out discussing what we've just watched. Restaurant meals have transformed completely. No more asking for high chairs. No more bringing a bag of snacks to keep them occupied. No more one of us having to walk around the restaurant with a grizzly toddler while the other eats cold food. Now we can actually sit down as a family, look at the menu together, have conversations over our meal, and enjoy the experience. The girls use proper cutlery. They try new food. They chat to the waiters. It's civilized, and I'd forgotten how lovely that could be. Day trips are actually enjoyable now instead of endurance tests. We can go to museums and the girls will actually look at things and ask questions, engage with what they're seeing. We can go on walks that are longer than 10 minutes without someone needing to be carried. We can visit these massive parks where they explore the gardens, climb trees, run around the grounds without me having to chase after them, constantly worried they'll disappear or hurt themselves. Both girls enjoying the same activities has been a game changer. Before, when one was a baby and one was a toddler, everything was a compromise. The baby needed feeding when the toddler wanted to play. The toddler wanted to run around when the baby needed a nap. Now they both want to do similar things. They both love the same playground equipment. They both enjoy the same TV programs. They both get excited about the same outings. It makes planning so much easier, and it means we can actually have fun together. Walking places instead of wrestling with car seats is pure freedom. For short journeys, we just walk. The girls enjoy the adventure of walking somewhere they notice things along the way. We have lovely chats as we go. No more the faff of getting everyone strapped in, checking mirrors, making sure everyone has their comfort items. We just put on our shoes and go. Spontaneous ice cream runs have become one of my favourite things. When the weather's nice or when we've had a particularly good day, or just because we fancy it, we can decide to pop out for ice cream. No planning required, no checking if it clashes with nap time, no worrying about sticky fingers in the pram. We just go, enjoy our ice creams and come home happy. Park visits are actually relaxing now. I can sit on the bench with a cup of coffee and watch them play, rather than following them around every piece of equipment, making sure they don't fall off. They can go on the big climbing frames. They can play with other children without me having to supervise every interaction. And I can chat to the other parents instead of being constantly alert to potential disasters. The freedom to say yes to invitations again has been incredible. So birthday parties, family gatherings, days out with friends, I can actually accept these invitations knowing we'll be able to go and enjoy ourselves. No more having to leave early because someone's tired. No more missing out on things because they clashed with nap times or bedtimes. Beach holidays are completely different now too. Instead of spending the whole time worrying about sun cream, and sand eating and water safety. We can actually relax and build sandcastles together, swim in the ocean, explore rock pools. The girls can swim now, which opens up so many more possibilities for family fun. This is what I'd been waiting for without even realizing it. The freedom to actually enjoy being a family together. But here's what makes this stage absolutely perfect. They're independent, yes, but I'm still their favorite person in the world. You know what this golden stage has taught me? It's taught me that all those impossibly difficult early years weren't just something to survive. They were actually building towards something beautiful. Every sleepless night, every tantrum weathered, every moment when I thought I couldn't cope for another second, it was all laying the foundation for these magical years we're living in now. It's like finally understanding why people say motherhood is the hardest but most rewarding job in the world. During those trenches years, I could see the hard bit clearly, the exhaustion, the overwhelm, the constant demands. But the rewarding bit felt abstract, something other people talked about, but I couldn't quite grasp when I was knee-deep in nappies and night feeds. Now I get it. This is the reward. These conversations, this laughter, this connection, this is what all that hard work was building towards. This stage has taught me that every phase of motherhood has its purpose, even when you can't see it at the time. Those early years when they needed me for absolutely everything weren't just difficult. They were creating the secure attachment that means they can be independent now, but still come to me when they need comfort. All those times I responded to their cries, at all those midnight feeds, all that constant availability, it was building their confidence that mummy would always be there, which is exactly what allows them to explore and grow now. I've learned to appreciate the small freedoms I used to take completely for granted. Being able to go to the toilet alone, drinking a hot cup of coffee, having a conversation without being interrupted every 30 seconds. These aren't just luxuries, they're reminders of how much I gave during those intense early years. And honestly, having lost them for a while makes me appreciate them so much more now. This golden stage has also taught me the importance of being present instead of constantly wishing time away. During the difficult years, I spent so much energy looking forward, counting down to bedtime, wishing they were older, and dreaming about when things would be easier. And whilst that hope kept me going through the hardest moments, I realize now that I missed some beautiful moments because I was so focused on getting through to the next stage. Now I'm consciously trying to soak up these golden years instead of looking ahead to what's coming next. Because I know this stage is temporary too. I know that in a few years, they'll be rolling their eyes at me instead of thinking I'm wonderful. They'll want to spend time with friends instead of having family movie nights. They'll be embarrassed by my singing in the car instead of joining in enthusiastically. The confidence this stage has given me is incredible. Surviving those early years, and I mean properly surviving them, not just getting through them, but actually raising happy, healthy children whilst doing so, has shown me that I'm stronger than I ever thought possible. When my 4-year-old was going through that particularly challenging phase at 2, I genuinely wondered if I was cut out for this motherhood thing. Now watching her blossom into this confident, funny, kind little person, I can say that we got through it together and we both came out stronger. It taught me that the hardest parts of parenting often come before the most beautiful parts. Those months of sleep training led to children who sleep through the night. Those battles over eating led to children who try new foods willingly. Those struggles with behavior led to children who understand boundaries and feel secure within them. The difficult parts weren't failures or signs I was doing something wrong. They were necessary steps in raising independent, confident children. This stage has also shown me how much I've grown as a person through motherhood. The woman I was before children couldn't have handled those early years with the patience and resilience I found. Motherhood stretched me, challenged me, and ultimately made me more capable than I could ever imagined I could be. And now, in these golden years, I can actually appreciate that growth instead of just surviving it. Perhaps most importantly, this stage has taught me that it's okay to have favorite phases of motherhood. I used to feel guilty admitting that I found the baby stage difficult or that I didn't love every moment of toddlerhood. But now I can honestly say that whilst I loved my children fiercely through every stage, this is definitely my favourite stage of being their mum. And that's perfectly normal and perfectly okay. These golden years are teaching me that motherhood isn't just about sacrifices and selflessness. It's also about joy, connection, and genuine friendship with these little people you're raising. It's about laughing together, learning together, and creating memories that will last long after they've outgrown needing me in quite the same way. Most of all, this stage has taught me to trust the process of motherhood, even when it feels impossible. Right, now I need to talk directly to you now, the mums who are still in the thick of it. The ones listening to this whilst bouncing a baby, or hiding in the bathroom for 5 minutes of peace, or folding another load of tiny clothes whilst wondering if this phase will ever end. I see you, I remember you, and I need you to know something really important. What you're doing right now is genuine hard work, not just busy work, not just tiring work, but properly, legitimately difficult work that would challenge anyone. You're not being dramatic when you say you're exhausted. You're not being weak when you admit some days feel overwhelming. You're not failing when you count down to bedtime or dream about having just one uninterrupted cup of tea. I remember that bone-deep tiredness that no amount of sleep seemed to fix. I remember feeling like I was drowning in the endless cycle of feeding, changing, soothing, cleaning, and starting all over again. I remember wondering if I'd ever feel like myself again, or if this new version of me, constantly touched out, permanently exhausted, always slightly on edge, was just who I was now. The thing is, when you're in those trenches, everyone tells you it gets easier, but it's hard to believe them. Because easier feels impossible when you're dealing with a toddler who's had 3 meltdowns before 9 a.m, or when you've been up half the night with a teething baby, or when you can't remember the last time you had a conversation with another adult that wasn't about sleep schedules or weaning. But I'm here to tell you that it's not just easier that's coming, it's actually wonderful. Not just manageable or bearable, but genuinely, properly wonderful. The golden years I've been talking about aren't just a break from the difficulty. They're a reward for all the incredibly hard work you're putting in right now. Every time you get up in the night to comfort a crying baby, you're building their sense of security. Every tantrum you weather with patience, you're teaching them that their emotions are valid, but there are better ways to express them. Every time you read the same book for the 15th time that day, you're nurturing their love for stories and language. Every snuggle, every kiss better, every time you drop everything because they need you, it's all creating the foundation of these magical years that are coming. You know what your children remember from those early years? They won't remember that you sometimes felt overwhelmed or that the house was messier than you'd like. They'll remember that mummy was always there. They'll remember feeling safe and loved and cared for. They'll remember that when they needed you, you showed up, even when you were tired, even when it was hard. The exhaustion you're feeling isn't a sign that you're not cut out for this. It's a sign that you're giving everything you have to these little people who need you so completely. The fact that you're tired means you're doing the work. The fact that some days feel long means you're present for every moment of their childhood. The fact that you sometimes feel touched out means you've been generous with your physical affection and comfort. I promise you, the golden years are coming. There will be mornings when you wake up naturally instead of to crying. There will be cups of tea you drink whilst they're actually hot. There will be conversations with their children that make you laugh out loud. There will be family outings that are actually enjoyable. There will be bedtimes that are peaceful instead of battles. Your little ones will learn to sleep through the night, and when they do, you'll sleep better than you have in years. They'll learn to communicate with their needs with words instead of tears, and suddenly you understand what they want and be able to help them more easily. They'll develop the ability to play independently, and you'll have moments to breathe and think and remember who you are outside of being mummy. But here's what's really special about what's coming. They still need you, but in the most beautiful ways. They still want your cuddles when they're hurt. They still run to you with their exciting news, still think you're the most important person in the world. The difference is it won't feel overwhelming anymore. It'll feel like the most natural, wonderful thing in the world. Right now, you might be listening thinking sounds too good to be true, or wondering if your particular child will ever reach this mythical, easier stage. Trust me, they will. Every child develops at their own pace, but they all eventually learn to sleep, to communicate, to play independently, to manage their emotions better. Your child isn't broken or behind or more difficult than others. They're just still learning these crucial life skills, and you're their teacher. The sleepless nights will end. The constant nappies will become a distant memory. The tantrums will fade as their communication improves. The feeling of being touched out will ease as they become more independent. The overwhelming responsibility will feel more manageable as they become more capable. You're doing an incredible job, even on the days when it doesn't feel like it, especially on the days when it doesn't feel like it. Your children are lucky to have a mum who cares so much about doing right by them that she worries about whether she's doing enough. These golden years are your reward for all those sleepless nights. They're coming, and they're going to be absolutely beautiful. For my mums in the golden years with me now, and for those of you who are right here with me in these golden years, isn't this just the most incredible feeling? That moment when you just realize you're not just surviving motherhood anymore, you're actually thriving in it. When you can actually breathe properly and think clearly and remember who you are beyond just being someone's mum. There's this shared understanding between us, isn't there? We've all been through these trenches together. We've all had those days where we wondered if we were cut out for this, when we counted down to bedtime, where we fantasized about sleep. And now here we are on the other side, finally able to appreciate what we've built together with our children. The relief is overwhelming sometimes, isn't it? I remember the first time I realized I hadn't thought about nap schedules for weeks, or when I caught myself actually enjoying a family outing instead of just enduring it. There's this incredible lightness that comes with not having to be hypervigilant every second of every day. We're rediscovering parts of ourselves we thought were lost forever. I can read books again, actual books with chapters and plots, not just the same picture book 17 times in a row. I can have thoughts that aren't interrupted every 30 seconds. I can plan things more than 5 minutes in advance without having to factor in feeding times or nappy changes. But what's really special is watching our children blossom into these incredible little people with proper personalities and opinions and senses of humor. They're not just tiny humans we're keeping alive anymore. They're becoming our companions, our little friends who we genuinely enjoy spending time with. There's something bittersweet about this stage though, isn't there? Because whilst we're celebrating their independence, we're also watching them need us a little less each day. They can solve their own small problems now, entertain themselves, make their own snacks. Part of me is so proud of their growing capabilities, but there's also a tiny part that misses being needed quite so intensely. The morning routine that used to be chaos is now this lovely, peaceful start to our day. It's civilized and calm, and whilst I absolutely love it, sometimes I have a fleeting moment of nostalgia for those chaotic mornings when they were smaller and needed me for everything. But then they'll do something that reminds me why this stage is so special. They'll spontaneously give me a hug just because they felt like it, or tell me I'm the best mum in the world, or ask if we can spend the day together doing something fun. They're choosing to connect with me now rather than needing to, and that makes these moments even more precious. We're making the most of this sweet spot before they become teenagers who think we're embarrassing, before friends become more important than family, before they start pulling away as part of their natural development. Right now, we're still their favorite people, still the ones they want to share their excitement with, still their safe harbor when things go wrong. The guilt that plagued those early years has mostly lifted too. We're not questioning every decision anymore. We're not wondering if we're doing everything wrong. We can see the evidence of our good parenting in these confident, happy, kind children we're raising. We found our rhythm, our confidence, and our enjoyment in being their mums. There's also this lovely sense of community with other mums at this stage. We're not comparing developmental milestones anymore or worrying about whether our children are hitting the right target. Instead, we're sharing funny stories about the things that our kids say, celebrating their achievements together, supporting each other through the normal ups and downs of family life. We're creating traditions now that our children will remember forever. The special pancakes on a Sunday morning. They're always singing in the car. The bedtime stories have become our special time together. These are the golden memories being made right now, and we're present enough to appreciate them as they happen. This stage has given us permission to enjoy motherhood instead of just enduring it. To laugh at the funny things of children do instead of being too tired to appreciate their humour. To say yes to adventures instead of being limited. Let's soak up every moment of these golden years because we know they won't last forever. But right now, right here, we're living in the sweet spot of motherhood, and it's absolutely beautiful. So there you have it. The golden years are absolutely real, and they're everything I hope they could be during those difficult early years. If you're still in the trenches with little ones, please hold on to hope. These magical years between the toddlerhood and the teenage phase are coming, and they're going to be a reward for all the sleepless nights and overwhelming days you're living through right now. For those of us lucky to be living in this stage, the golden stage right now, let's make a promise to really savor it, to put our phones down during those bedtime stories, to say yes to spontaneous adventures, to appreciate those morning cuddles before our children become too cool for mummy snuggles. These years won't last forever, but whilst we're here, let's make them count. Whatever stage of motherhood you're in right now, remember that each phase has its own beauty and purpose. The difficult parts aren't signs you're failing, they're signs you're doing one of the hardest jobs in the world with love and dedication. Trust the process, trust yourself, and know that every stage of this incredible journey has something wonderful to offer if we're open to seeing it. The golden years are real, they're beautiful, and if you're not there yet, they're absolutely worth waiting for. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Real Mummy podcast. Remember, every mum's journey is unique and you are doing an amazing job. Please be sure to head over to our website at www.realmummypodcast.com to stay up to date with the latest episodes and dive into our recent blog articles filled with even more wisdom and stories. We absolutely love connecting with our listeners, so don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Real Mummy Podcast. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and become part of our supportive mum community. And I'd love to hear from you. Have you got a topic you want covered? Do you have a guest you'd love to hear from? Reach out to us through our website or social media. Your input is invaluable and helps us to create the content that matters most to you. Thank you for being part of the Real Mummy podcast family. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind to yourself, and remember, you're never alone on this journey. You've got this.